Welcome to Simply Bitcoin, where we cover the Bitcoin culture, the news, the fails, all of it. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Nick Can't Mine. He is the head of news at Bitcoin Magazine. He's going on today, so I'm not going to share the screen. But anyways, Opti, let's go to the numbers.
Number time!
Brought to you by Nodl. They make some of the best Bitcoin nodes, like the Nodl 1, which I'm holding in my hand. Run Dojo and Whirlpool, Bitcoin Core, and Lightning, all in the comfort of your own home. Remember, guys, if you don't run your own Bitcoin node, you're using someone else's. So get yourself a Nodl today. At the time of this recording, the price of Bitcoin is at $21,650. Sats per dollar, also known as Moscow time, 4,619. The market cap, wow, that is so low. Cheap Sats, $412 billion. Amount of Bitcoin held in corporate treasuries is 1,660,000. The current block height is at 740,964. Total Lightning network capacity at 4,001 Bitcoin. And the amount of reachable Bitcoin nodes, it's up again. We're at 16,032. So a little bit of a bloodbath. And why is that bloodbath happening? Well, we've been covering this for the last couple days. I know Nick covered this today at Bitcoin Mag because I saw their videos. I know they're releasing some articles. This was a big deal. The Fed hikes its benchmark interest rate by 0.75 percentage points, the biggest increase since 1994. So basically, that's just a very fancy way of saying that they're making it more expensive to borrow money. There we go. They're making it more expensive to borrow money in the hopes of cooling down the economy, in the hopes of slowing down inflation. Now, what's really funny, and I keep saying this, guys, is that the people that caused the inflation are also responsible for slowing down the inflation, but you are the victim. Like, it's just crazy. Anyways, this was a video by Magoo. And I just thought it was hilarious. This is a little zoomed in of the Fed meeting, and take a look at those shaking papers.
We have both the tools we need and the resolve that it will take to restore price stability on behalf of American families and businesses.
So, I mean, look, there could be wind in there, right? Or he could be shitting his pants. This is Deep Hodl. Of course, there's the bias. We're all Bitcoiners, so we all think something's going on. This is Deep Hodl. He says, Jay Powell is overwhelmed. His voice sounds very shaky and nervous. I know, Nick, you covered this today, so I'm going to ask you whether you think that's true. Now let's compare that with Bitcoin's monetary policy, because this is what we advocate so strongly on the show. We try to make the case every single day that Bitcoin is a better alternative to central banking. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin's monetary policy, right? Because this is kind of on the fly, right? The Fed monetary every Wednesday or every other Wednesday or however long it is, right? They just, he just goes up there with the shaky ass hands. And, he just decides, right, depending on how the economy is doing, I guess, right? But if you compare that to Bitcoin's monetary policy, it's simple. The supply being dumped on the market about every 4 years is cut in half, right? Or the amount of Bitcoin that is able to be mined is cut in half. So the monetary policy of Bitcoin, it's set in stone. Now, let's take a look at this. This is Neil Jacobs, shout out to him, and he retweeted this video. Let's see how Michael Saylor feels about this, because at the end of the day, right, with a lot of economists and a lot of the legacy media people, they're expecting a recession, and obviously that has affected the Bitcoin price. A lot of us would like to believe that Bitcoin is a decoupled asset, but it definitely hasn't been showing that. But let's see how Michael Saylor feels, right? We did pass the number that he supposedly was going to get margin called in. Obviously, he put in more collateral. But just a little quick observation. This is the first time I see Michael Saylor smiling in the beginning of the interview. Usually he has a straight face. Anyways, let's check out what he has to say.
I'd love to just start off on, we just said it, I think it's 129,000 roughly, a coin, average price of 30,700, spent about $4 billion on it. One would anticipate if the price stays where it is, that's going to cause a significant write-down overall. At least your auditors may ask for that. You know, you've talked for years about the financial flexibility owning all that Bitcoin gives you. I wonder if you believe it also works in reverse.
No, I think it's been a net positive. We back tested our strategy against every other alternative. And if you roll the clock back to August 10th of 2020, when we embarked on this journey, Bitcoin's performed 10x better than anything else. Gold's down 10%, NASDAQ is flat, Bitcoin is up 86% since that time. Over any time frame, 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, Bitcoin's the best performing asset. I can't come up with a better idea.
You can't come up with a better idea. Does that mean that you would actually consider buying more at these prices?
Yeah, I think if you think about Bitcoin, if your time horizon is 1 month, it looks like a volatile risk asset. But if your time horizon is 10 years, it looks like a risk-off store of value asset. So the crossover point is 4 years.
Yeah, and the 4-year number, thanks, Opti. And the 4-year number is really interesting because the 4-year number, and connect this what I was saying about Bitcoin's monetary policy, roughly every 4 years, the supply of Bitcoin being dumped on the market, so to speak, gets cut in half, right? So it makes sense every 4 years. Now compare that with the monetary policy of fiat currencies and the monetary policy of the Fed. I just think that Bitcoin is a better system in every which way. Right now, we are paying the price for those stimmy checks that they sent out a couple years ago. Everyone thought free money. There is no such thing as a free lunch. We are figuring that out now. Nick, from your perspective, I know it was you were telling me before the show is a little crazy today at the mag. What did you guys see? What insights do you have based on what I was talking about?
Yeah, with like the Jerome Powell meeting, and him shaking and stuff, I noticed it right away because I watch it every single month when they do it, and he just seems so nervous. And yeah, I mean, I didn't even think of that, probably because I wanted it to be true that he was just shaking that much, but it definitely could have been like a fan or something, or the wind blowing. But then again, why would they be blowing wind on him? I don't know. But I would not want to be in his position during like an economic downturn like we've been experiencing. Like, his job just got that much more stressful. And I mean, there's a lot of people in the United States and around the world, but particularly in the United States, they don't understand this stuff, and they're looking to this guy for answers. And month after month, they're seeing this guy as failing them. And I'm seeing more and more videos of people who like, let's say, like, a lot of these people were Biden voters last presidential election, who were like trying to make things better by voting for Biden. These people have completely turned. Like, these people are pissed. Like, people can't afford gas. They can't afford electricity. They can't afford, food. People are pissed. And Jerome Powell said that he has no idea where we're going to be a year from now with the economic policy. I mean, comparing that to Bitcoin's monetary policy, like, it's alarming. In the fiat world, it's just really alarming right now. And Bitcoin just gives you this peace of mind that, TikTok next block, as long as blocks are coming in, Bitcoin's going to be the same tomorrow. You can go to sleep at night and really be rest assured that, they're not going to rug pull you monetary policy wise.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Bitcoin's just better, man. Like, look at all the chaos. And the Fed's original mandate was to control unemployment and control inflation. The 100 plus years that they've been around since 1913, I think they've completely failed at those two mandates, really. You could make an argument for unemployment, but it's been a catastrophe. Opti, what's your perspective, bro? From the pleb perspective, what's your perspective?
Well, I'm just glad I'm a Bitcoiner and I don't have to watch this to watch Jerome Powell or watch these meetings to understand what's happening with my monetary policy. I can live my life and, do what I got to do. But as the world melts around us, it's just beautiful to hold Bitcoin. And yeah, that's pretty amazing to see Jerome Powell shake like that. If he is actually shaking, I think that just further proves what we've been saying for a long time, and it's that they can't taper the Ponzi, and they know it. And yeah, it is terrifying, because even as a Bitcoiner, we're not going to be unaffected by global markets having a meltdown. So it's not really a good place to be in, to understand that the world reserve currency seems to be failing, and they don't know what they're doing over there. They're just chickens with heads cut off. But on a brighter side, to make a point of the Sailor clip, it's beautiful to see Bitcoin pleb culture going mainstream, and Sailor on CNBC talking about Bitcoin being on sale and that this is an opportunity to be buying Bitcoin. So the signal's still getting out there, and it's just beautiful to know that we are still on the right path. And guys, just continue stacking, and this is the generational wealth dip you've been looking for. So we get cheap sats, and let's just see, hopefully see the Fed figure it out. But we got Bitcoin Zen over here, so it doesn't really matter. Continue living, and we will be okay. Bitcoin is the life raft.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to jump in there. Something that Sailor said. Sailor was talking about how, like, gosh, I literally just blanked on it. It was
he was talking about how it's just the best performing compared to all the other assets. Is that
what yeah. So one of the things about Bitcoin and the monetary policy is, like, Parker Lewis puts it really good, and he said something along the lines of, when Bitcoin is crashing, you got to ask yourself, well, did they increase the 21 million supply cap? Oh, they didn't? Then you're good. Just keep stacking, because the price going down is just a reaction to participants in the market, doing whatever they may be doing. And in this case, lately, it's been the Luna and Celsius Ponzi schemes collapsing, crashing the price. I mean, I'm sure we'd still be going down either way without those two happening. But I just like to see Bitcoin's price as everyday people's reactions to the market. And then the monetary policy is just sound, and, blocks continue to still come in.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, right? The supply doesn't change, right? The monetary policy, we know it's set in stone. Roughly 2024 is going to be the next halving, right? So yeah, the short-term price action is definitely these shitcoin DeFi platforms collapsing, which in my opinion, I think is a good thing. And just and a lot of fear. A lot of people are freaked out, right? But I think, Bitcoin definitely wins at the end. And I'm sure we'll be laughing a couple years from now. But anyways, Opti, it's time for the
Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make some of the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy. This one's in simply Bitcoin colors. But what if you want Peter Schiff colors? He makes that too. Only on CryptoCloaks.com. What about an awesome 3D printed Bitcoin honey badger? You can also get that, and you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 10% off CryptoCloaks.com. All right, so Nick was absolutely right when he was talking about in the beginning that people are waking up. This isn't exactly a Biden voter. This is a pretty predominant, he has 1.8 million followers, predominant conservative journalist, conservative commentator, conservative Twitter personality, I guess. And he's starting to pick up on the things that us Bitcoiners have been screaming off from the rooftop. What I was saying in the beginning of the show, that the Fed has failed in its mandate. And it's actually really interesting because this video that I'm going to play for you guys came out last night. And it was before the show that we had, before the Simply Bitcoin show. And we actually had it with P yesterday. Anyways, let's check out what he has to say. This is Human Events Daily. It's his show. I'm going to play like a 2-3 minute clip, and you're going to see it's exactly what Bitcoiners are advocating for. But unlike him and unlike Ron Paul, and I love Ron Paul, I think Bitcoiners actually have a solution to this. Anyways, let's check out what Jack has to say.
Vanguard, the people at the top were getting rich, and then it trickled down to the rest of their buddies. How? Through the ESG, corporate social credit score system. That's where the money printing went. So I've seen some people try to blame the inflation on the stimulus checks. I'm like, that was like a thimble. That's a drop of water in the ocean compared to the amount of money that was being printed and handed out to their buddies on Wall Street. And guess what? Now it's time to pay the piper. And so it's expected, and this is out of Bloomberg, by the way. So Bloomberg has it up that Fed Chairman Powell is going to be speaking tomorrow. And what's he saying? A potential interest rate futures are signaling a 175 basis points of tightening through September, implying a 75 basis point increase in the interest rates at one of the next 3 Fed meetings. What is that meetings? What does that mean? Recession is potentially in the cards. And that's the Bloomberg headline. Look, Powell facing choice between elevated U.S. inflation and recession. And of course, they're painting him in the, he's like Paul Volcker in there. He's a lion, a towering figure of the Fed. Cut the crap. The Fed is the organization that did this in the first place. Guess what? Ron Paul was right about the Fed. All right. Audit the Fed. And then eventually we need to get to the point where we end the Fed.
So again, the normies, right, the non-Bitcoiners are starting to wake up to the problem. And the legendary Ron Paul, that I know Nick likes very much, was the first to point this out. I actually posted a video today on my Twitter about Ron Paul talking about all of the consequences of this magic money coming out of nowhere, right? This magic fiat money that they're just printing, and what the consequences of that would be on the global economy, and how that misaligns the incentives of politicians not to be conservative with the money spending, because they know they don't have to raise taxes. They could just rely on this money printer to fund wars, to fund social programs that we cannot afford. And this is exactly where we are today. Now, the signal, because that's what we like to bring to you guys, is the fact that this is a non-Bitcoiner, a very predominant conservative journalist, right, that has a big following, and he's coming to the conclusion that, holy crap, this is a bad system. Guys, mark my words, it is inevitable for him and his following to run into Bitcoin. It's just a matter of time. Bitcoin is the solution. It is the alternative to the central banking system. And let's not rely on the heavy hand of government and coercion, okay? Let's just make an argument. Let's just say, why don't we just have the free market? Let's have the central banking system, and let's have Bitcoin, and make both of them legal tender, and let's see who wins. That's what I'm advocating for. Let's not shut it down. Let's fuck government coercion, fuck regulation. F that shit. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. Let's just see who wins in the free market. We know who's going to win, which is why all these central bankers are shitting their pants, which is why you have Christine Lagarde saying the things that she's saying, because she knows that she can't win in a free market competition. So they have to rely on government coercion to get their way. It's not going to work. Bitcoin is an inevitability. Incentives are stronger than coercion, period. And that's why Bitcoin will win at the end. Even in communist China, right, where they have the most totalitarian laws, there's the Supreme Court of China came out, they said it was a $250,000 fine and 10 years in prison if you get caught using cryptocurrencies, right, to use their words, or to use the article's words. It's estimated that 10% of the hash rate is still located in China. Why? Because, again, the profit incentives and the incentives of a deflationary currency that has a capped supply are always going to be inflationary fiat currencies that governments provide, right? And the only way for them to stomp out the competition is through coercion. And it's not going to work, right? Anyways, Nick, am I crazy? What are your thoughts on this, brother? I thought it was crazy, man, when I was listening to that podcast yesterday, coincidentally. I was like, oh, let me check this out, because I saw it in his timeline. And then out of the blue, he's like, let's end the Fed. I'm like, dude, this guy's a Bitcoiner, doesn't even know it yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a fan of Jack. I've never listened to his podcast, though. I just love his Twitter. And I got intrigued when I saw that the World Economic Forum police, yeah, like that's a real thing. The World Economic Forum police.
We covered that on the show with the patch with the
Yep.
fucking the demon horns on the thing. It's crazy, bro. It's nuts.
Yeah, and they arrested him at the event in Switzerland. It's just crazy to me. But it just, when the government and the Fed can print unlimited money, now for the past, however many years, they've just all been high on easy money. And like you said, they don't have to tax anyone to fund anything because they can just print anything for, anything they want. Like, for example, it was reported that Biden was sending like even more money to Ukraine. Like no American, or at least the majority of Americans do not give a fuck about that. Like no one wants to send more money, more supplies, more anything to Ukraine. And the only way they can do that is by printing more money. And one of the things that really annoys me is that, like, with Bitcoin, if you want to mint more Bitcoin, you can just start mining. I mean, that's easier said than done because, it's costly. You got to find the right equipment, place, electricity, yada, yada, yada. But if you wanted to, you could mine your own Bitcoin. You could mint new currency. If you were to make a fake US dollar and try and spend it, you would end up in prison and they would fine you a large amount of money. But the Fed can print unlimited amounts of money and they can spend it on whatever the fuck they want, no matter how much you disagree with it. It's just such a one-sided system. I don't like it at all. And it's, Bitcoin is incompatible with communism. Communism needs a central bank. If you look at Jack Placebo's Twitter bio, it says communism disrespecter. He is like in prime position and all of it, he gets great engagement. He gets insane engagement on Twitter. If he started promoting and endorsing Bitcoin, like he would onboard a whole new wave of people who would realize its understanding for money separate from state, not just something that they want to buy and, hope to get rich from. These are the hardcore conservatives who are going to buy because they want to end the Fed. They want to end the state. They want to, be able to donate money to stuff that they want and things they believe in without getting their bank account shut down. This is going to empower a whole group of people who have really been silenced these past few years and really beaten down by the mainstream media and government and select politicians. And it's going to, I've been saying this for a while, it's really going to swing the pendulum back the other way, and things are really going to turn around. And one more point is, it reminds me, like, I remember a few years ago, I was watching a video of Peter Schiff when he went down, when a bunch of people were protesting Wall Street, saying, oh, Wall Street's fucking us over and stuff. And yeah, they probably were a little bit, but like, the whole point Schiff was making is that he was like, no, turn around and walk to that building. The Federal Reserve is right over there. Those are the you're barking up the wrong tree. Like, those are the people you need to be, protesting. And like, these people were just so mad and so enraged that they just like, it wouldn't click for them and they didn't want to believe that. But it's really good, many years later, seeing people actually wake up and start to realize, hey, if we're playing by these people's monetary system, they can control everything we do. So we need to break free.
That's the tragedy, right? The tragedy is that I think, especially the younger generation, right, the millennial and the Zoomer generation, they got so effed by the system that they inherently know something's wrong. But with the Occupy Wall Street movement, right, it was a more left-leaning movement. They're where they get it wrong is that they think the economic system is broken, right? They think capitalism has failed. We don't have capitalism. We have crony capitalism, okay? And that's the tragedy of it. And what they're asking for is socialism, and they don't know what it is they're asking for because America really never had that, right? So that's the really messed up part, is that they're right in thinking that something's inherently wrong, but where they get it wrong is it's like, oh, it's capitalism, it's been fucking us over. No, It's crony capitalism. It's the system where the federal government could print as much money as they like. They give it to their friends, right? They give it to the top, the wealthy. They benefit from it the most. They benefit from asset inflation, and the lower middle classes that don't have the wealth and they don't have the means to save in real estate and equities and all that stuff. They're stuck holding cash. They get poorer. And I give them the right where they are right in the sense that they know something's up, but they're looking at the wrong solution. So I agree with you, Nick. I hope that Jack wakes up eventually. One thing is saying end the Fed, and one thing is providing an alternative solution. I think Bitcoin is the better alternative solution. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts on this, brother?
Well, you just laid it out perfectly. The problem is simple, and they can't hide the truth very much longer. And the problem is printing money and, for problems that are basically imaginary. So Nico laid it out pretty perfectly. But I do want to make a point that, again, guys, this is Bitcoin pleb culture going mainstream. It's only a matter of time until everyone figures out that the simplest answer to the problem is Bitcoin, and the fact that the government has caused inflation and it is out of control and they can't do anything to fix it. So it's only a matter of time until the normies figure this out. And so this is what we do. Make sure that the signal is as clear as possible and that people understand this message. So here we are. You guys laid it out perfectly.
Boom. All right. So Nick brought something up about banks being frozen. We've made the case on this show many times, and we've made the case in a very simple case. We said, in the future, you're going to have a choice between CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and Bitcoin. One is freedom, one is slavery. And those conspiracy theories that we are called conspiracy theorists for saying that those CBDCs would be used against you, and it would be a method for the government to control you. Well, guess what happened? June 14th, that's exactly what happened. Of course, happened in China. China bank protests stopped by health codes turning red, depositors say. Now, if you want to know why Bitcoin was banned in China, and you want to know why they want to ban Bitcoin, it's because Bitcoin doesn't give them the ability to do this. That's why. Anyways, check out the article. A protest planned by hundreds of bank depositors in central China seeking access to their frozen funds has been thwarted because the authorities have turned their health codes red, several depositors told Reuters. The depositors were planning to travel to the central province of Henan this week from across China to protest against an almost 2-month block on accessing at least $178 million of deposits, which has left companies unable to pay workers and individuals unable to access savings. Right groups have warned China could use its vast virus surveillance infrastructure to stifle dissent. Without a green code on their smartphone, citizens lose access to public transport and spaces such as restaurants and malls, as well as the right to travel across the country. They are putting digital handcuffs on us. This is the social credit system, and this is the system that they want to bring to the West. You don't believe me? Half of it is already here. Anyways, let's get to it. This is Trudeau. You guys remember the Canadian trucker protest. In fact, we had one of the organizers on the show. So Trudeau vows to freeze anti-mandate protesters' bank accounts. What does that sound like to you? What does that sound like to you? What does that sound like to you? Sounds like China to me. Anyways, with no need for court orders, banks can freeze personal accounts of anyone linked with the protest. If you do something the government doesn't like, you can't access your money. And anyways, it's kind of a conspiracy because you would say, hey, but how is this connecting with China? Are you sure? Western leaders have fallen in love with the China model, and they're in the process of trying to implement it in the West. This is from fee.org. Justin Trudeau said he admired China's dictatorship. Canadians should have believed him. I think he was absolutely right. This is a quote. There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime. And say we need to go green. We need to start, investing in solar. Justin Trudeau told the group of women, there's a flexibility that I know Stefan Harper must dream about, having a dictatorship where you can do whatever you wanted, that I find quite interesting. And you want to go into how dystopian this is. This is John Militore, and he tweeted this, right? He tweeted the same quote. All right, so this is also happening in the U.S. This is DailyMail.com. Bye-bye, Bank of America. Outrage customers, boycott firm. As it's revealed, the bank snooped through hundreds of innocent people's accounts looking for capital riders for the feds. So who else is doing it, right? So it's already happening in the U.S., right? Check out how crazy this is. Customers confirmed as transacting either through bank account, debit card, or credit card purchases in Washington, D.C. between January 5th and January 6th. Purchases made for hotel, Airbnb, RSVPs. So check this out. From the 211 people the bank turned over, one was interviewed by law enforcement and no one was arrested. The bank has not confirmed how many accounts it went through to produce the 211 to turn over, nor has it confirmed whether it was compelled by subpoena or search warrant to hand over the information. Now, imagine a central bank digital currencies where they don't have to subpoena anybody. The government controls it themselves. This is coming to the West. It's inevitable. And the famous saying, with absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So imagine trusting a government, right? And I'm not trying to justify the protests. I'm not going to take a political stance. But what we believe as Bitcoiners, right, is that no person, institution should have the power to get to decide who can use money and who cannot use money. And that's exactly what central bank digital currencies are going to enable. And this is why Bitcoin is so important. Because even if your worst enemy wanted to cut you off, they literally could not. And we believe that the world will be a much better place for it. Wake up, know at what part of the movie we're in. This is going to get crazy. This is not going away. In 5 years, things are going to be a whole lot worse than they are now. And imagine if they get away with implementing that CBDC and they won't even need to go to the bank. They'll just freeze it as is. And you'll be stuck in that unfortunate position that those Chinese citizens are in for protesting the lockdowns. Anyways, Nick, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, the Capitol rioting thing is crazy to me because I grew up near DC, and during the 2020 election, I was obviously heavily against what was happening. My personal opinion is that the election was stolen. And if I was still living in DC, near DC, I had moved earlier that year. But if I was still living there, I 1000% would have gone. I would have had a fucking blast doing it too. And I just know my bank account, Wells Fargo, would have absolutely shut me down. They would have turned me over like that. They would have had no problem doing it. They would have closed my bank account. And I'm actually seeing it as a blessing in disguise now that I wasn't there. So I didn't, get caught up in any of that mess. But it just has me thinking growing up, I was always told that America's the land of the free and we always have it really good here and we can grow up and do whatever we want. And I remember seeing Anastasia on Twitter the other day. She tweeted out how she's now a U.S. citizen, and one of the little things they gave her said, "Oh, you now have the right to pursue be free and pursue happiness and all this stuff." And I'm just thinking that is just word salad that they're telling people, because if you do something they don't like, they'll try and stomp you out. And it really worries me because I'm thinking about my future and where I want to be. I have my own personal goals that I want to hit, not financially, but just other stuff in my personal life. And I always think about 10 years from now, when I have a wife and kids, if I don't fight for my freedoms now and set myself up now, then my kids will never know the freedoms I once had when I was a kid, and even now growing up. And it's really made me realize the importance of living in a place that values freedom, and, you know, just setting myself up with friends and other people, even people I'm not friends with, just a good community around me that's, you know, also supports freedom. Because if you lived in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, I mean, you were just born there and grew up there. COVID happens, governments go authoritarian, you're fucked. A lot of people got really fucked over through no fault of their own. And I don't want to be back. I don't want to be living in that type of country. And then when you say it's coming to America, there are absolutely politicians and people in power who love the China model. I mean, Ray Dalio and Charlie Munger are absolutely obsessed with it. They're constantly praising China, saying the United States needs to be way more like China. And you know, that really appeals to these younger kids. You know, I'm 22 and Gen Z, and it's like, I don't know. I look around at other kids and I'm thinking like, you guys already own nothing and you're not happy. Like, you need to start getting assets. You need to start having something to defend and something to live for, because right now you don't own anything. You don't give a shit about life. You're just letting other people control you. And then you get jealous when other people have nice stuff. It's like I don't know. I think the only way out of it is that other people in the younger generations need to be held to a higher standard. They need to begin acquiring assets and building a good life for themselves. And that's the only way we're going to turn the ship around, because all this China stuff really appeals to the younger kids. And I really do not want to go down that route.
Yeah, and that's the whole tragedy of it, because these younger kids are like, dude, they're disillusioned with capitalism, but it's like, it's not capitalism, it's crony capitalism, man. But yeah, it's very unfortunate. I think it's definitely going to be an uphill battle. Now, in terms of you know, what happened in the protests, look, the right to protest is guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution. Now, the right to do violence and all that is not. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to, right? And the double standard is crazy, because when the BLM protests happened, they burnt down cities, caused billions of dollars of damage. Now, if you compare that with the January 6th, and again, I'm not taking an opinion on this, the January 6th protests, right? Look, whether you believe it's an insurrection, whether you believe it was a protest because something fishy happened in the election, you can't deny the fact that the BLM protests were a lot more damaging than the protests at the Capitol. Okay, you can't deny that. But the double standard is there. Now, why is that? Because the BLM protests were burning down small businesses. Small businesses are terrible for the government, right? So what's good for big government was allowed to happen, and what's bad for big government was stomped out. And this wasn't only in the United States. In Canada, the same thing. Those protesters were peaceful. They were in bouncy castles, and they were treated like terrorists. But the BLM protests, where they burnt down cities, they're peaceful protesters. Double standard. This is why Bitcoin is important. Anyways, Opti, what's up?
Wait, before I forget this, I mean, Antifa and BLM literally killed people in their protests. And then the few that were taken to jail, Kamala Harris, literally the vice president of the United States, bailed them out of jail so they could go continue, you know, doing carnage. They bust and flew people into cities to do this destruction, because it was for big government, so anything goes. And you really start to realize, once you see all this stuff happening, is that there are no rules. And I kind of like to think of it like we're all just on planet Earth, and right now, like, there are a group of people who are desperate to control you. You were not born into this world with a right. I mean, with them having a right over you, saying that they get to control everything you do. These are just normal, everyday people. A lot of them went to high school, middle school. They played sports just like all of us. You know, they have their own personal, you know what I mean? They're humans at the end of the day. And they're doing this stuff for total control, total power, and all this stuff. And I just think it's so fucked up how they're able to control and manipulate people through the media to side with one group of people who are doing terrible stuff, and then brainwash them into and trick people into saying, hey, these people over here that are fighting for freedom, oh, that's a right-wing extremist word, so you got to hate them. And it's so crazy to me.
Yeah, it's framing, right? It's framing, and this is why Bitcoin is so important. Like, this is literally why it's so important, because even if, they wanted to freeze and they wanted to stop you, Bitcoin allows you. And let's take out the West out of the equation. It's giving Cubans, it's giving Afghanis, right? It's giving the Kingdom of Tonga that got hit by a volcano. Bitcoin is there. Bitcoin is there. Bitcoin's always there. This is why it's so important. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts on this, brother?
Well, what a dystopian nightmare. And people say that this can't happen in the West, but it is. And it's just, wow, it blows my mind. But this is why we Bitcoin. This is why you self-custody. Bitcoin is the exit door. Bitcoin causes the consciousness change we need on planet Earth to make this happen. So guys, Bitcoin is the true north. And Bitcoin is the peaceful revolution. So we just got to spread this message more to more people and, free people from the matrix, because that's what we're doing here. People just don't know what's going on around them, and we do. So it's upon us to spread this message. And if you're here right now, we're at the front rows, and it's beautiful for us to be here and see this right now and be a part of this peaceful revolution that is changing the globe as we speak. So silver lining in there, guys. Optimist fields for a reason. We're out here winning, guys.
Hell yeah. And you guys know the political stance that we take on the show. We don't lean left, we don't lean right. What we stand for is freedom, and the freedom of the individual to make his or her choice over their life. And we are very against anybody who is against freedom, because if you're against freedom, you're against Bitcoin. That's how it works. But anyways, Opti, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's stories, articles, comics by plebs and actual Bitcoiners. This is the artwork for Volume 2. This is the artwork for Volume 10. This is the artwork for Volume 11. It just dropped, and they're scarce. There's only 1,000 physical copies made per volume. Get your prints of Citadel 21 today before they run out. All right, everybody, first meme is brought to us by Eric Can't Meme. Some guy criticizes Bitcoin Twitter, doesn't understand fractions, CFA in bio. Oh, man. All right, moving on. Next one. Captain Bitcoin. It's okay to be a Bitcoiner. Taking his own way. I like it. By Jose. And this is, dude. Nick, check this out. You're the Twitter guy for Bitcoin Mag. Look at that engagement, bro.
It's garbage.
It's garbage. They have 684,000 followers, and they get 70 likes. I bet you the majority of these are fake. Who the fuck follows a central bank? Anyways, you want financial inclusion, privacy, sound money? We want power and control. That's hilarious. All right, moving on. Next one by Rothmus. Could it be that free market economists were right all along about inflation? No, it must be that the CEOs suddenly turned greedy. Dude, they're crazy, man. Okay, by Recycling Guy, crypto traders, Bitcoiners, absolutely true. DCA, dollar cost average, HODL, and you'll see this bear market will be a breeze. When you start a revolution over a 2% tax, and now you see the population being taxed 37%. George Washington, for a fact, would be a Bitcoiner. He hated fiat money. There is no second best. The fiat system has you. This is from the new Stranger Things season. I know Bitcoin. Now moving on. The legendary RD. Inflation defeated. Let's check it out. There's no sound. Enter basis point increase. Yes. Inflation defeated. It's so true, man. And I bet you he uses a computer like that, dude. Like, it's so archaic, the system. Anyways, for those awesome memes, I don't have a score. So Nick, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I like those memes. They were pretty good. So I'm going to give it Ritz peanut butter crackers.
Ooh, delicious. Anyways, Opti, what would you give those memes?
That sounds really good, Nick. All right, I got this AirPods, but I got this really cool Bull Bitcoin sticker on it.
Very cool. All right, for those memes, I'm going to give it this red Xbox controller. Anyways, guys, we want to know if you agree with our scores, you disagree. Let us know down in the comment section. Comment. Make sure to subscribe to us on alternative video platforms because we do talk shit about the World Economic Forum, like rumble.com and our personal favorite, bitcointv.com. They don't censor there because it's Bitcoin TV. And join our awesome Telegram group. It's a party in there. Join it. The link's down below. Anyways, Opti, it's time for
the Daily Fail.
Brought to you by Swan. Check them out, swanbitcoin.com. That's right. It's the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated savings plans and instant purchases. I'll do it again, Nico. That's right. It is a Bitcoin stacking platform by fellow plebs. Check them out. They're going to have an app soon. The link is down below.
All right, what's up, guys? It's Optimus. I'm here filling in for Phil on the Daily Fail. So let's just get into it. So first off, this fail is continuing on the Celsius theme, but it's gonna kind of be a fail within a fail. So imagine an insolvent company that you can't withdraw your money from asking you to send them more money. Literally defies logic. So you may be asking yourself the question, why would they not let you pay off the loan with money /crypto/stables that are already in your account? Great question. It's because they are totally insolvent. The money that shows in our account isn't actually there. That's the only reason we can't use it. It's not there, and these idiots have the audacity to think that we are going to send more. This is a pure scam to try to bring in fresh money from users to pay off loans. Remember yesterday when Phil was connecting Celsius with BitConnect? Well,
that was Sunday's episode.
Sunday, excuse me. All the days in Bitcoin time, Nico. All right, so as they head towards bankruptcy, make no mistake about it, it's at this point now that I see their game. It's only a matter of time until they get liquidated. Their liquidation price is at 16.5K, and that's coming, and they know it. As they get closer, they're pulling out all the stops. Does this sound familiar? Holding people's money hostage? Well, it should, because this is the most common scam for petty hackers /fishers. Let's see how it works. Someone says they are an expert and they can give a new investor big daily returns on a small investment, so the victim gets tricked and sends the scammer money. In this scenario, $1,000. Next, the scammer has the victim create an account on what is basically a fake trading platform. The website looks like a regular platform, but it's just code. There's actually nothing backing the platform, but the website code shows the victim's accounts in quote-unquote real time. And as the victim's account grows, there's no money in there, but the victim gets attached to the idea of him making money. That $1,000 goes to $1,000. So these people, as he's saying, have real goals for this money, and the victim gets attached to this money. But as you see, the victim is told they can pull off their money anytime by paying a fee of $5,000, which hurts, but it's, remember, to get that $100,000 back. So from $1,000 to $100,000, add a $5,000 fee, $6K for $100,000K. Looks good, and that's how they bleed their victims dry, by squeezing fee after fee until the victim realizes they have been scammed. And BitBoy realizes that today I'm the victim of this scam. I'm kicking myself for this.
No, dude, he's not a victim of shit. Okay,
Obviously.
this is his way. This is his fucking cop out for shilling this garbage.
I agree, bro. And then look, and he goes into, well, I guess Celsius is being responsible. Eventually, will earn people's. All right. Anyways, let's go into this. This has happened at it was like 5:30 this morning. 10 minutes later, he's saying. Someone comments, I think they knew, and he says, let me guarantee you this. When regular crypto folks on Twitter started slowly tweeting about Celsius insolvency over the last few months, the company itself already knew. So remember when Corey was starting chaos on Twitter? That was a couple of weeks ago, guys. So again, these people know what's going on behind the scenes, and we can show you some of the mental gymnastics they're doing. But again, he's going to sue them, and then you can see here. there's this comment he's trying to dunk on him. He says, if you have under 25K, you can get your money out. And he goes, great advice for little guppies. So you can tell he got super wrecked in this. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked his channel, but I can almost guarantee you that he was shilling it. And like Nico was saying, this is his way of saving face. But I saw this extra fail just to add on to this fail. This is coming from the Celsius community. So Brian over here at Coin Colleges jumped into one of the Celsius spaces, and just look at some of the mental gymnastics they're doing here. They're literally doing the BitConnect, what's his name? Trevor or whatever. Like, you lost your money. Well, you didn't really lose your money, but technically you lost your money. So these are some quotes. You may have to wait 2 to 3 years, but our money is not gone. Maybe you'll just take a 50% haircut, but you'll eventually get your money back, guys. This is the people on stage in these spaces trying to cull their community because they know they're wrecked. Let's see. This one is really funny right here. There is one. So the Ponzi scheme that is Celsius being compared to Apple and Tesla. And then furthermore, Corey was being blamed for the cause of Celsius insolvency. And guys, we know on the back end that these are all features and not bugs. They knew exactly what they were doing beforehand. And these crypto influencers shilled this garbage to you guys. And most likely got paid on the back end, and now they're doing these Twitter threads to try to make themselves look like victims, and like they got, caught up in the hype and their casualty in the crypto winter markets. And we'll tell you again, guys, I don't want to be the guy that's saying, pushing people while they're down, but this is a learning moment, guys. Don't over leverage yourself. Stay humble, stack sats, because you never know when this is going to happen, guys. The market can fall out on you, and you don't want to have your life savings on one of these ridiculous lending platforms. Anyways, Nico, jump in here. Any more thoughts?
Yeah. First of all, round of applause for Opti. He's finding his voice. He's getting better every single time. Great stuff, dude. Yeah. So we were covering. We've been on top of Bitcoin, BitBoy crypto for more. I would say 8 months now. Every time we post a video, usually our like-dislike ratio is above 90%. But when we do the BitBoy criticism videos, it drops down to 85 because there's always a couple people in the comments that are, going to his rescue. You don't need to rescue this guy, okay? He's very wealthy. He has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, okay? And he scammed you, okay? This is what happened, and now he's trying to save face, okay? He shilled you Celsius. He shilled you their products because they paid him, and now that they're a scam, he's trying to cover his tracks, okay? This is why we only Bitcoin. This is why this show sticks to Bitcoin. We'd have a lot more subscribers and we'd make a lot more money if we sold our souls, right? And we promised you from day one that we would stick to only Bitcoin. And this is why, right? During the bull markets, everyone's having fun buying monkey JPEGs, okay? But when the bear market comes and push comes to shove, you better hope you're in Bitcoin, right? Because it's the only thing that will survive to the next bull run, and then you'll see new and better altcoins will come up, and they will replace the ones in the top 10%. The top 10. If you don't believe me, go to CoinMarketCap and look at the historical top 10 cryptos, and go year by year. You'll see it changes every single time, and this bear market is no different. But the awesome part about this is that through this pain, a lot of people will learn their lesson and they'll find the true king, they'll find the truth, and that is Bitcoin. Stay away from people that peddle shitcoins. The incentives are not aligned. And one last comment before I pass it on to Nick. It's funny because Celsius and the whole collapse is doing exactly the same thing that the banking system does. They over leverage. Everyone wants to withdraw their money, and there's a bank run. That's exactly what happened in the 1930s. That's literally what happens. Bitcoin fixes this because you take self-custody. You don't trust someone else with your time, your wealth, and your energy. Don't do that. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin, especially during these trying times, right? Anyways, Nick, what are your thoughts on BitBoy shitcoin?
I laughed when I saw the first tweet. I was like, of course this dude's just turning his back on him. Scammers turning on scammers. He played a stupid game. He won a stupid prize. I don't give a flying fuck about this fat boy's opinion because, like, he's been shilling Celsius for who knows how long, months or years now, and he's taken their paycheck. He's using their platform. He doesn't give a fuck. Like, if he never got wrecked on it, he would have been totally fine with this. He never would have spoke out against them. He only cares because his own pockets were hurt about this. And one of the things about, like, these scams, like Celsius, is, like, it's fucked up because they prey on people's emotions. Like, kind of like what Optimus was reading from the Twitter thread. They were talking about how, oh, you want to pay for college? You want to buy a house one day? You want to buy a car one day? You want to, like, actually retire and, like, a good, a decent time in your life? Oh, put your money with us and we'll grow it over time and you'll be able to hit all these financial goals. And it's really just fucked up because a lot of Bitcoiners are people, I don't even like saying the word Bitcoiner, but people in this space and more or less the shitcoin space, they're like, yeah, man, fuck the banks. Like, the banks are fucking us over. I want to have control of my money. And they take their money out, put it in some liquid shitcoin just to put it up on these scam platforms. Like, that's worse than holding it in a bank. And then they get rug pulled like this by insolvent companies. Yeah, but, like, one of the things, it always makes me think, like, there are no shortcuts in life. If people are offering you like 18% yield or whatever it was that they were offering, like, if it's too good to be true, just know it's a scam. Like, I remember last bull run in 2017, I got wrecked a little bit on hash flare. It was kind of same concept, but it was like mining stuff. It was like, oh, send your Bitcoin to us and we'll, have you mine and stuff. I lost a little bit of money on that, but I was like, holy shit, I could actually make a fuck ton of money off this and do whatever I want in life. And it pulled me in with, like, that same emotion gimmick, right? But it always, like, looking at these scams, it always makes me think, like, Bitcoin is already, like, the best performing asset ever. Like, all you have to do is just work and do whatever you want, and then save your excess wealth in Bitcoin. Yes. And you can choose how hard in the paint you want to go with that. You want to put 80% of your paycheck into Bitcoin and accumulate more than others, go for it. You only want to put in 5, 10, 20%, go for it. You can go at whatever pace you want. And over time, let's say 4 years, you're going to be in a better position than you are now. And over time, especially if you're lucky enough to be, like, really young in this space, like, you'll be completely fine financially. You won't have to you won't have to risk your money on these liquid shitcoin scams and end up getting rug pulled because people just get sucked in by the hopes and the dreams of it and they end up with nothing. I mean, I've seen so many Twitter posts of plebs over leveraging themselves and losing everything. People losing even just one BTC. That's a lot of money.
It's brutal.
And it's not just a lot of fiat money, but it's one of only 21 million Bitcoin, which we know that there aren't that many left. And because a lot of them have either been lost or gobbled up already and away in cold storage. But hodlers, people who keep their Bitcoin in cold storage, remain unaffected, and we just scoop up the cheap sats.
Yep, dude, so much signal there. We've all survived a bear market. That's actually how we became friends, right? This is a game of survival, okay? This will be survival. If you get it, if you get to the other side, you make it to the other bull market, it's inevitably going to come, right? The halving ensures that. And you survive, right? Because that's what it's about. And you have the same amount of Bitcoin, ideally have more Bitcoin than when you started, you're going to be in a better place, right? So, harness your seatbelts. What Odell always says, I love this line, stay humble, stack sats. But anyways, Opti, there was a website by Plebe. Why don't you show everybody?
Websites by plebs.
Brought to you by CipherSafe. Check them out, cyphersafe.io. Paper is dead. Store your seed in the Cypher Wheel or the all-new Cypher Grid. They both come with a tamper-resistant wire, and the grid comes with a punch tool.
All right, guys. So, had a pretty long conversation with our friend Pirate Beach Bum this morning. He is starting the Bitcoin Bear Market Diaries. We also have something in the works. Let's see. We're gonna surprise you guys. But anyways, check it out. This is Pirate interviewing different plebs, hardcore plebs that have survived the Bitcoin bear markets, and you're going to learn from their experiences, right? So Citadel and Simply, we've supported him. Perhaps we work together. It's going to be a surprise. I'm really excited for it. But anyways, guys, don't forget to subscribe to us on alternative video platforms not alternative video platforms, audio platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to us on our audio platforms like Spotify, Fountain, Apple Podcast. You could send us sats on Fountain. It's really cool. It's really good stuff. You could do the pay value. Forget the name. Really interesting. You could kind of play with it. I also want to give a very special shout out to our clothing sponsor, representltd.com. Optimus and I are wearing the merch. Shout out David, bro. We love your stuff. Really, really good material. We also want to give a very special shout out to a friend of the show. Dude, this guy's like my little brother. I've seen him grow. He's seen me grow. We've grown together during this crazy experience that is Bitcoin. You go give this awesome pleb a follow on Twitter at NickCan'tMine. He's low key, but this guy's the real deal, man. Anyways, guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Of course, if you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective and the catastrophic fails from the same perspective, definitely consider subscribing to Simply Bitcoin. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for a brand new episode.
What's the second best? There is no second best.